Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with
Trailhead Basics.
Salesforce Platform Basic. Okay, so if you really think like there is always a distinction between an application and platform.
No, sir.
All
No,
right,
sir.
it comes as is. Similarly, if you look your app on Ola, it comes as is. You cannot change it. You have to use it in whatever form and fashion it comes. So if you see any application on the cloud, which you cannot really change it, and you have to use as is, this is pretty much giving you a direction that this is an app and not a platform. However, Salesforce gives you an ability where you can go and customize their look and feel. You can go and customize, create multiple apps. So if I have to really show you what we are talking as an app in Salesforce, here you can see there are multiple drop down values. So these all are separate app within Salesforce. Now some apps Salesforce provide by default for you to get started with, and some app you can create by yourself. And that is the flexibility which Salesforce has provided us. And that's why we call it as a platform as opposed to an application or as an app. Okay. So if somebody is asking you why Salesforce is a platform, right, and not an app. So there are two variations to this. As long as you have an ability to customize an app given to you, you can consider that as platform. Now that platform comes in two variations. One is you will get out of the box capability provided by the platform, and second, you get an ability to customize it. So customize it what? So for example, tomorrow I ask you guys, okay, you have developer org, go ahead and create an attendance system in your developer org. Now that means you need to think, okay, in my attendance system, I need to manage all the students, I need to manage class, I need to manage professors, I need to manage date. That may not come out of the box within Salesforce. Or think that does not come out of the box in WhatsApp. Can you go and customize it? You cannot.
No, sir.
But when it comes to Salesforce, you have an ability to go and customize. You can in fact create Patna Women's College or Patna Science College attendance app, and that app can have different object associated to it. Now, the way we treat the object in Salesforce, if you want to correlate with your previous knowledge of MCA or BCA, it's basically a table. Okay, we don't call that as a table because it is little more than table. You will learn more about it as we move along. But for now, just understand this. If you have to correlate something close, what you know so far, object is an equivalence to your table.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now what happens? So now you understand, right? Why we call Salesforce as a platform and not an application, right? So if you see, if you really go through this, it talks about, okay, don't consider Salesforce as just a CRM.
But sir,
Yeah, good.
uh, sir, we are talking about Salesforce as a platform. Sir, we are talking about customization. So, sir, customization depends on a developer or a user. That is what I am confused on.
Yeah, so you will get this clarity more as we move
Okay.
along. There are two
Okay.
variation of customization. So
Right,
your
sir.
thought process of customization, we consider in two variation. One is configuration and another is customization. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
configuration is, let's say, create one field, add a field into it. For now, whatever is your understanding, it is all as per. If you have to create a field, you have to go and write an SQL query, alter table query, and alter that table in the database, right? In
Correct, sir.
Salesforce, it is not like that. In Salesforce, anyone who is a super user or a business user, if they have been
Okay.
given access, they can go and configure it. So we call that as a configuration. Or
Okay.
admin, like we talk about two certification, admin certification and developer certification, right? All
Right, sir.
admin will have an ability to do this. He is not
Okay.
writing a single code, but he is still able to do all of it. He is not writing any SQL query, but he's able to do it. The other variation of it is customization, where you will go and really write a code like you do in C or C++ or Java. In Salesforce, we call them as an Apex. Okay, so we'll go that in detail when we go into developer training, and you will see it more. For now, understand this. It provides you an ability to configure and customize.
So may I ask you one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if any admin user can go and modify already pre-defined any application, then it could also mismanipulate the application, sir.
Whose application?
If suppose you have created an application using org platform, and I am a user of org, and I have visited your application, and I have again rewrite your application. In that case, it could be a beneficiary, or it could be a disadvantage also for that application.
Okay, so there was a specific reason I asked this question, whose application? Okay, I'll get that into the next one. So think Salesforce is a cloud platform, right? So
Right,
if
sir.
I am giving it to, let's say, Patna Science College MCA third year has one application given to it, and let's say you are admin to it. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so what will happen as part of this? You are admin, and all other your colleagues
Other
are,
users.
they are all user of it. They are just using the system. You have an
Okay, sir.
ability to change it, and they will get benefited then and there as part of that change. For example, tomorrow I'm trying to capture an account information or contact information. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a field to capture an information about some information. Example like, what is my second phone number for you to connect me,
Yes, sir.
right? Alternate phone number, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then nobody is able to capture it because it's not exposed in the application. But then
Mm-hmm.
you as an admin can go and add that field. The moment you add that field, it is enabled for all other user at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But this is only for the org which you are having access to.
Okay,
There is a concept of multi-tenancy will go next. Okay, so
sir.
so pretty much understand this, why Salesforce is a platform versus why not it is an application. As long as an app provide you an ability to configure and customize based on
Mm-hmm.
your own needs, they
Mm-hmm.
are platform, and Salesforce provided. Okay, so if you go in the Salesforce, when I was showing you here different tabs, right? I have sales tab, not tab, apps, sales app, service app, marketing apps, right? So here is what they are talking about. These are all out of the box. They are saying, well, we provide you, we come with a lot of standard functionality, or you also know them as out of the box product feature and functionality. And what is it? If you want to perform a sale to prospect or customer, so basically you want to sell your product,
Mm-hmm.
then we provide you an objects like leads and opportunities to manage your sale process. And that
Mm-hmm.
comes as part of an app called sales. Okay. If I
Mm-hmm.
talk about, well, after sale happens, somebody will come and complain that my product is not working, or somebody will come
Mm-hmm.
and complain that, well, I want some services to my product. For example, you buy a car, you go for
Mm-hmm.
servicing of the car every 6 months.
Yes, sir.
How do I manage that service part? Then Salesforce said, okay, I'm going to give you another app for it. And that app is called Service App. Okay. So similarly, they talk about all other apps here, right? They have even a mobile app. They have an app for community and chatters. We'll talk more about community and chatter later on. Then there is an app about marketing. Marketing is something you can correlate with. When you go to shops to buy, you get an offer like buy one, get one, right? So this is the simplest way to understand what marketing comes. Now, Salesforce provide that as an app as well. If I go and further ask about, does Salesforce provide an app for Attendance registration. No, it does
Mm-hmm.
not provide that app. Okay. Can I create
Mm.
an app now? Yes, you can always go and create an app for it, and that will be your custom app, and it will again come one of the drop down here. Okay, and then you should be able to use that app in combination of objects and other stuff to manage all your information about your attendance system. Now, if I say, can I use WhatsApp to manage your attendance? You cannot,
Okay.
right? So that's why WhatsApp cannot be a platform versus Salesforce can be platform.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now go through this, read it through it. It talks about different use cases and how Salesforce application has been used. And I will leave you guys here to go through this. There is a recording as well. Go through this recording. It talks about how will you go and customize a field. The example which I talk about. If you check here, they are talking about example. So what they want to do? They want to start storing information about if you are qualified as a contact to get some kind of loan. And I want to capture this information. How will I go and change application so that I start capturing information for pre-qualified, even though I have an app provided for contact. But if I go to this contact right now, well, contact is an object within an app called sales. Okay. So if I go to
Okay, sir.
this contact right now, I don't have a field where I can capture if he is pre-qualified or not.
Mm.
Okay.
Got it.
Now I want you to go ahead and create a field into this so that I can start managing information for pre-qualified.
Yes, yes.
On this, you will see an information given to you. How will you go and perform the steps? It is pretty simple step, right? So just follow it through and you should be able to see your layout is showing fields like this pre-qualified. Okay. And when we go into next session, like fifth session, then we'll talk all the details around what all configuration and customization we can do within Salesforce. Okay. So this one was pretty much like understand about platform, understand little about adding a field into an existing app. So app is basically a combination of multiple objects, and every object is a combination of fields.
Mm.
So far
Yes.
clear?
So where will I get this page, the current page that you are
I'm going to put you
presenting?
the link.
Yes, sir.
So here, when I said we are going through these, I'm going to share you this link on your WhatsApp group, and you will just, if you open this link, it will
Mm.
show you the parent link of this one. So you
Okay, sir.
will be landed at this place. Okay. So the way you read it through, you get landed to this place. You see all these ticks because I
Mm.
completed for myself. For you, it will be without tick. So you have to just open link one after the other and complete your assignment associated to that reading. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, no question so far from Patna Women's College. It's only one guy asking question. All of you are good so far? Okay, I'll take it as good. Now, next one is discover use case for the platform. So this is more of you to understand why this is a platform, why I'm using this as a platform, what is the value proposition of using this platform. For example, it talks about high impact, low effort. Now, if you think previous example, here is my problem. I am going to give loan to somebody. I want to make sure this guy is pre-qualified to get the loan.
Absolutely.
Can you go and provide me this information in an app? Now consider change Salesforce to Java. In Java, if you have to add one pre-qualified field for that contact, what all changes you will do? You have to think about changing at UI. You have to think about changing the code. You have to think about altering your table of contact where you will add a pre-qualified checkbox field, right? And then you have to update your code to make an insert as well as query, right? from that
Right.
table so that the data can be displayed on the UI and also it can be updated back to database.
Right, sir.
Just to do this, how much time it takes for you to do it on the Java or any other open sources is relatively more. So your
Quite
effort
lengthy.
is not low, your effort is high. And then you are going to go and see the impact. By the time I see that changes coming in the picture, I may have lose some portion of my business already, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
now think from Salesforce perspective now. Salesforce give
Okay.
you an easy way. All what you were supposed to do in order
Mm-hmm.
for me to provide that ability is perform this step, perform 7 steps, and I'm done. Okay, so it is less than 10 minutes for you to really complete that process or for you to make things available for me to start using it. So
Okay.
that's why the effort is low, but the impact is high. That's what they're trying to tell you, and that's why they're trying to tell you, okay, you discover different use cases and see how Salesforce is useful, and that's what they're talking here. So again, it's more of a talk for you guys to understand. So I'll again not go into detail of it. It is more for you to read it through. There is nothing much for me to explain and make you understand. If so, what I'll suggest you guys go through it, read it. If you have a question, keep your question for the next session. When we connect, we'll go over it. Or you can also collect all the question and then put on the WhatsApp. And whenever I get time, I'll reply. Okay.
Okay.
The third one,
So do we have to do this quiz first, sir?
you will have to do quiz on. So you see here, I get all the 6 different links, right?
Yes, sir.
These are different pages, and every
Okay.
page will have a quiz associated to it.
We have to complete that.
Oh yeah, if you don't complete it, I will not get this check mark. And at
Okay,
some
sir.
point of time, I'll come back and check on these things. Okay, so
Okay.
that's where I was saying when you guys go through YouTube recording, I want you
Mm.
guys to go and put some comment there. Okay, so
Okay.
that I know you have spent time and went through it. Okay,
Right.
whether you put bad comment or good comment, but do it. Okay.
Right.
So now understand the Salesforce architecture. This is important and complex. You may not get it today. Okay, it will take some time for you to really get this architecture. Okay.
Yeah.
So think from this Salesforce architecture. When we talk about, we just talk about sales, service, marketing, and couple of
Yes, sir.
other apps on the top. What you were able to see it here,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? Now, in order for all of this to work, like your Java application was working, when you have to build it, you have to look for a server, you have to look for a database, you have to look for all other infrastructure, right?
Yes, sir.
In Salesforce, you're not able to see, you do not need to do this because Salesforce has already put that in the backend. Meaning you are not really doing it, but it is that application or app still need those support. And that's why this architecture gives you that, okay, you are just focused on building this app, but within this app, in order for this app to work, Salesforce has so many platform support. That means Salesforce talks about their component, like what are their different way to have that app interacting with it. Then they have an analytics layer, then they have a data layer, and then they have multi-tenancy layer. Multi-tenancy may be new for you guys, so we'll spend some time on this. For now, this diagram you think all you spend time on doing on the top one. Okay, all you will be doing is all what you see on the top one. Okay,
Yes, sir.
what you see all the way below is still an infrastructure needed, but that infrastructure or architecture is being provided by Salesforce, and you do not really deal with it. And that's why you are fast. That's why you were able to do that in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, otherwise you could not. So now let's talk about what is multi-tenant, right? It's a really good example which Salesforce has put it here. When you created a developer org, all of you created a developer org, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what happens as part of that developer org, you get only one apartment. So if you think this is basically an apartment and these are different flats.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens when you guys created your developer org, all of you have separate apartment in it. Sorry, separate
Correct.
flats in it
Apart.
within this
Correct.
apartment. Okay. Now, is there which apartment your flat is? You never know it. It is being managed by Salesforce. But what is happening in the background, this entire infrastructure is shared between all of you. That means same Java server is used by Patna Science College as well as Patna Women's College.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Now that means you are sharing uh, all your infrastructure, right?
Hmm.
And in US there is well saying people teach their kids right from their childhood that sharing is caring. Okay, so that's what even Salesforce is talking about. Sharing is caring in multi-tenant
Correct, sir.
cloud. Okay, so
Wow.
everyone everyone share the resources, and this is one of the reason also your cost is low. Okay, cost is low, like your
Wow.
cost of building
That's
application is low. You pay little less cost as opposed to if you have to really build that entire infrastructure in-house. Right? So multi-tenancy is basically now you can go through all the definition, but in simple way, if you want to understand, it is shared infrastructure for different org on the same server. Okay, so they call that multi-tenancy, and that sits all the way down here. Okay, but now think from this. Consider an example of an you guys are all staying in an apartment and you have different flats given to it. What do
right, sir.
you need to enter into that apartment? So first you would
One
need
minute.
some key
From
to enter here, right? So you get enter here, and after that, in you will not have access to this flat. You probably will have access to this flat or maybe this flat, right? So you need a key to get into this flat itself. Now every flat what you see is treated as an org within Salesforce, and that's why we call it developer org. So you have your own developer org, somebody has their own developer org. All that org is basically an org ID identification which Salesforce maintain, and that's how they identify that when you enter into this apartment, which flat you have access to. And it is even becoming important now because every flat will have different infrastructure, meaning somebody will have queen bed, somebody will have king bed, somebody will have something else, right? So I should not allow you to access others' queen or king bed if you don't have the king bed in your apartment, right? So that is what exists within your apartment. How am I making sure that nobody else can access it? That's where the security component comes into picture. So even though you are all staying in an apartment, that doesn't mean this he can see data of others or he can see data of somebody else. Data is not shared. Infrastructure is shared. Okay. I think if the data gets shared, then everyone will know each other data, right? And then the credibility of that application will go down. So next session which Jacqueline is going to take, he will talk more about the security concept. Okay. Right now at multi-tenancy level, all the way data is secured by your org ID. That means the key of your flat. Okay. Unless you have that org ID, you won't be able to get into that flat. Okay. Now think somewhere I want to manage information about data. Information about data, that is data about data. What do we call data about data?
metadata.
Metadata.
Good. So there is a way to manage metadata as well within Salesforce. So basically, let's try to understand what is metadata in Salesforce, right? So when you go to Salesforce, what do? You go and create an app, you go and create an object, right? You will go and create page layouts and couple of other stuff. So these are all metadata which you are creating. What Salesforce does, they maintain information of your metadata, and that's how when you log into this flat, you are able to see information about your queen bed or king bed, right? So you are able to see information about the apps which you have created based on the data, uh, based on the metadata which Salesforce has stored. Okay, so you will see all the way down here, they are talking about, to put it simple, metadata is about data, and then they are talking about how that works. Additionally, you will see they talk about API here. Okay, this is again, there is a detailed API discussion which we will talk later on, but here what they are trying to tell you, sorry, somebody has question? No. Okay, so here what they are trying to tell you, that when you create a field, let's say pre-qualified field which you are trying to create, right? That pre-qualified field when you create, Salesforce by default gives them an API name. So it will say pre-qualified underscore underscore C, two times underscore, right? And then it says C. This is the way Salesforce gives an API name for everything which you create in Salesforce, right? And all that interactions, when you really do the interaction, like when this UI get launched and it is pulling information, it's basically making a call not based on contact owner. It is making a call to the database based on contact underscore owner underscore underscore C, because that API name is unique. I can have contact, for example, name here, right? I can also have name one more time. I can have same label multiple times, but you will see their API reference will be different. So API is unique, and that's how Salesforce interact to get data. Again, this is at high level. You will understand more when you move forward. And when you go through this recording, it will be a little more clear. Okay, when I go into fifth session, when we'll talk about go ahead and create an object and other stuff, you'll be able to see everything as an API. For a quick, I'll show you this, right? So, for example, if I go here, I think we have next session to talk about setup. So I'll leave it for now. I'll talk about setup there. Um, so this is one. What's next? The next one is navigate setup. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. So this navigate setup, what they are trying to tell you, how are you now? So now you know Salesforce is a platform. Now you know Salesforce is a multi-tenant. Now you know Salesforce is multi-tenant meta-driven application, metadata-driven application. Okay. So how will you navigate? How will you set up stuff within Salesforce? And that's what they're talking in this session. Okay, so let's try to understand this. Not through this page, I'll let you read it through. It's simple to read it through, but I'll go to application and walk you through this, right? Setup. So every one of you, when log in, you'll be able to see something called setup here. This is basically a place where admin will spend a lot of time. Even developer will spend a lot of time. Every time I ask you to do any change, all you go and do it is go to setup. Now there are other shortcut method which we'll cover later on, but primarily setup. When you click on this, it will take you to all the setup where what you can change as an administrator setup, what you can build or configure as a developer, what you can deploy, and what you can monitor. Plus, there are jobs which you will be running, and there are logs which gets generated, and how will you manage logs? Now, jobs and logs, before job, let's talk about logs, right? Somebody will come and tell you, oh, my application is not working. I'm entering data to pre-qualified field, but when I save it, I am not able to see the data back to that UI. Or maybe when I'm trying to save it, I get an error that I cannot save the data. There is something wrong. Now you as an admin has to figure it out and close it. How do you do it? So one way to do it is you will, like you have been doing in Java and other tool always, right? You put a debug log, you generate a log, and then you see the log files. Same concept here. Every action which you performed will have a log file generated, and then you can go and look into the log file, which gives you an information about what is wrong, where is wrong, and then you can fix it. Admin part, right? So admin part, what are a couple of things you do, right? Think as an admin. You are an admin of an application. The first thing you will do probably is, hey, give me an access to your application. How will you give me access to that application? You need an ability to add somebody as a user to the system so that he can log in with his user ID and password, right? So that's where you manage your user. Manage app, we have been talking throughout, right? How many apps I can create a custom app for your school attendance, right? Then there are a couple of other stuff. I will not spend time on everything this point, right? But I'll show you something called company profile. And in the company information, if you go, you will be able to see Salesforce organization ID. This is the org ID which I have been talking about when we discuss about multi-tenant architecture, right? So when I was saying that all of you um, stay in an apartment, but everyone has a flat and that has a unique identification, that's where if you really look into, all of you will have this ID different. So every company, every time when you get an access, you will get this org ID, and this is used a lot of places for security reason. Okay, so this is the org ID which you will be able to see in the company information, and there are a couple of other stuff which you can do on company, uh, which again we'll go in detail later on. Now build. I will ask you go ahead and customize. Let's say contact, right? So what will you customize? As part of customization, you can create a new field. You can create a new page, and you can create some buttons for me, and all of this we'll discuss in fifth session. But basically when somebody asks you to create a pre-qualified field, you come here. Contact was an out of the box object, right? So I already had predefined field, but then if I have to create something new, I come back here, click on new, and then it gives me an option to, okay, what do you want to do? What kind of field you want to create? Do you want to create an auto number field, formula field? Do you want to create a date or date time? Or you want to create an email? Or you want to create a text field or a URL field? So it gives you all the different variation for you to decide what field you're creating. For example, pre-qualified field, what option I should be picking? Looking at my screen, can you guys help me understand what option I should be picking for pre-qualified field, which was a checkbox? I gave you enough hint, guys. Checkbox,
Yes, checkbox. Yes.
right? So that's the field, right? So similarly, if I ask, okay, I want to store information about date, you will go and pick
Then
date.
date.
If I say no,
Yes.
I want to store information about date as well as time, you go pick a
Date and
date and
time.
Date and
time.
time.
If I ask you go and pick information about email, then you'll go and pick email, right? So there is a specific use of why I can use text as well to capture your email address, but some validations will not occur. For example, if I just create a text field and I ask you to give email address, you will just put ABC and that's it. However, in an email address, I need to have at the rate, right? And then .com. So
Yes.
those level of validation will not work on the text field. However, if you check as an email field, it will work. Okay. Now, all of this has a lot of discussion. Every attribute will talk about it, how to use it. Uh, but for now, I was just trying to give you a quick glimpse of how does your setup look like. So this setup provided me an ability to create a field and expose to a page layout, and I'm done. And everyone else in the system is able to see that information. So that is how you go and customize. Now think from a perspective where, well, I do not want to customize. I want now to create it. Meaning I wanted to create an attendance system. I have no object for storing information about classes. Can I go and create one? Yes, you can go and create
Yes.
one, and that you do it under create, and you will go ahead and create objects. Okay, where you will go and create a new object and you will call that object name and something which I haven't shown you yet, um, which we just talk about it. For example, let's say I go to this client. You will see every attribute which you create will have something called API name. This is what API we were talking about here. Okay. So by default, it is created by Salesforce. You don't need to create it. All you need to put is a label, and then API name gets calculated and created by Salesforce itself. Okay, so this is a couple of quick navigation of setup. Why would you go to setup? You all of you should go to setup after this class and try to see, just navigate it through, play around all that menu option and try to see. I mean, of course, you will not understand everything, but at least browse it through. Okay, so that was
Okay.
setup. And now power up with App Exchange product. Um, I'll spend some time on this and then I'll give you guys break for 10 minutes and then we'll come back for other session. Okay. So this one is App Exchange. What happens? Salesforce provided you multiple app by default, right? Now I ask you that can you go ahead and create an attendance system? You said yes, I can because Salesforce is a platform. So what it means, you will go and create an app, you will go and create three, four objects, you will create relationship between them, you will create their page layouts and all that stuff. Even though Salesforce provide you an ability, it's going to take, let's say, 5 days for you to do it in Salesforce. It takes 30 days for you to do in Java or C++ or any open sources. You are still faster, right? But then Salesforce came back with a concept of app exchange offering where, well, there is somebody in the system, there is somebody in the cloud, they are trying to sell an app in the market called attendance management system. So if I go and directly buy that app, I can just buy that app and install it in the Salesforce and I can use it. So my 7 days even get reduced to just buying it and installing it maybe a day. It looks simple when you have a small functionality which you can do custom build, but when you have a big functionality where Salesforce is not supporting out of the box, that's where people go and look for app exchange products if they can buy it before they really start doing customization. Okay, so somewhere people will ask you a question that, okay, I don't have, let's say I want to manage information about attendance system. I don't have that app by default when I buy Salesforce. What should I do? Oh, your answer is very quick. Don't worry, I'm an admin. Tell me what you need to do. I'll go and create those objects and give it to you. Before you answer this, Your answer should be, okay, let me go and check if there is something available on the app exchange which we can leverage. If there is nothing, then I'll go ahead and create it. Now, when you really go and buy an app exchange product, it comes in two flavor. One is where you will have to pay money, and another is where you will not have to pay money. So where you don't have to pay money, it's an easy buy. Okay. But where you have to pay money, it will be a discussion with your business that, okay, if you have a fund, are you able to pay that additional money? Because then you get inbuilt app. And the other benefit of that app is whoever company who has built it, they will keep enhancing it with new features, which you get by default, spending multiple times to keep enhancing your own product. Okay. So that's where App Exchange comes into picture. One of the things which we are trying to work as part of key apps, uh, or as part of, there are other companies who are doing, they're all trying to think or building some kind of app exchange product. Okay. So I will give you guys break at this point of time. And when we come back, we will continue with data model. Well, we'll continue with new user and then go to data model. So 10-minute break for all of you. Let's connect in your time. It's 11 o'clock right now. 11:10 will connect.